The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using promo code SGPN, and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Even on weekends like this, it is time to talk about racing things. It's a NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. It's a Monday afternoon, and it was race day. How crazy is that?
Yes, man, we kind of expected this, talked about it a little bit when we were previewing everything this past weekend. There was absolutely no chance to get it in yesterday. They canceled the race nice and early for everyone. And yeah, it's boy, what a Monday, I guess, huh?
What a weekend in general. I mean, now listen, all I know is that whatever Dover did, it brought the clouds and the chance of rain to California with it. So we too on this coast have ourselves a gloomy day. But look, as far as racing is concerned, I mean, we'll obviously touch on it. This is the recap show. This is where we go over our bets in the weekend in racing. But as far as racing goes, as a fan, I liked what I saw because it was good racing and it was entertaining and it was very much what I think that the product they're after. Now, from the betting side of it,
Yeah, I know how that weather is getting there. It's the 700-mile-an-hour wind in the Midwest here. It's just blowing the storm straight from Dover to California. I guess that's how that works. But yeah, from a racing aspect of things, like it was a pretty good race, I feel like. And you know, watching IndyCar, watching F1, watching some other forms of racing and stuff too, like sometimes I think NASCAR fans just get a little bit spoiled because we have some. I mean, the IndyCar race this weekend was great. The F1 race hey, by the way, if you listen to the F1 Gambling Podcast, we hit a 16-1 over there. So hopefully you did that because that was great. That was awesome. That was fun. But it's NASCAR racing provides really good racing. I mean, there was constant action throughout the day today. So I was happy with that. Not all the results went the way we want. We did some pretty decent on some head-to-heads. Same thing Saturday. Head-to-heads, we really hit on good this weekend. Just, man, the outrights have been tough lately. Which goes to show you how unpredictable it is, right? Like it really is hard to predict who it is because we've been getting some different winners. Truex, finally, we can bet on him to win again. He's now done it. He broke, 54 race winless streak? Yeah. And so he's allowed to be bet on to win races now going forward. Again, I think I said this in the Discord, but not sad that I missed hitting Truex outright. There was no way I was betting him until he won a regular season race or a points race, rather. I know he won the Coliseum, but not a points race. So now, officially, Martin Truex Jr. is back in the pool of options. And a Truex sweep on the weekend. That was a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah, it was. And brothers winning. That's why I said in the Discord, shots on the Truex family for that. Hey, old-fashioned football joining us. Of course, Justin Mark and his wife, Miranda, over there, the co-hosts. Welcome into that.
Great show as always. They're always killing it. Justin had some live reactions last week to the first, I think, 7 draft picks he did. That was pretty awesome. So they're always cranking out good stuff. I can't wait for this week's episode, now that we know, football, we know where people landed. Now we get to start seeing the fantasy impacts. So definitely go check them out.
He figured out how quickly he figured out how hard it is to be a show host by yourself.
He did a good job, though.
Fantastic job.
It was good,
absolutely.
yes.
No, but listen, so here's the thing too. And I got to give a big shout out to the host of the Back Road too. Seth called out Martin Truex Jr. on his show, called out Martin as a top 5. Like, he hit him, man.
Damn, nice. Good job, Seth. Shout out to him. Seth's been hitting the outrights good lately. I think he had, was it Larson? Whoever won Martinsville, I think he had the winner there. I know he's had some good ones here lately. So, shout out to Seth.
Yeah, Seth digging in real deep for those. So, good job for him. I mean, again, I've been burned one too many times by that 19 car, and I didn't want to believe it, but I should have known. We should have known though, Cody, once Ryan won.
Yeah, I got this close, Rod. I was about to say it. Some guy, I think the JDK, somebody else maybe brought it up. Should we be betting him now? I couldn't talk myself into it, obviously. But, I mean, and it almost happened again. Like the caution late, he almost lost another race that he should have won. So that made me feel even better about not betting on him because it was close there at the end. And then I thought Blaney was going to take him out and give Chastain the thing. Man, Well, and listen, it just goes to show you that, you think you have it pegged, and it just, sometimes you don't. But we do got to step away real quick. We'll come back and we'll break down the rest of this weekend. Even I'm like, whoa. But we'll talk about it because I really want to get into some things when we get back from this break. But let's talk about Shady Rays, because Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off offer, but you can also have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays has you covered from the sun to the slopes, as they always do, with premium polarized sunglasses, customizable snow goggles, and so much more. Shady Rays has got durable frames, extremely clear optics for all your outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. That means if you lose a pair, break a pair, throw a pair into the crowd because you're so excited for something, doesn't matter. They're going to replace those for you for free, and they won't even ask you who's wearing them now. They'll just give them to you because you lost them or you broke them. That's insane. You can wear it with confidence because they know they got your back long after your purchase. Plus, if you don't love them, exchange them for free or return them within 30 days. No risk when you shop with Shady Rays. They always got your back. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Then take that receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win the $500 Shady May contest. I wish that we had a return policy for our bets because it was frustrating. So we're going to start, obviously. I wish that the books would stop being so scared and give us the BJ McLeod versus Chase Briscoe head-to-head, because BJ McLeod beat Chase Briscoe. I told everybody. I told you Chase Briscoe was going to suck this weekend. I absolutely nailed that one. Absolutely horrible performance by Briscoe. Never around all day long. Not mistakes. He didn't have any mistakes throughout the day. BJ McLeod just straight up beats Chase Briscoe. Books are scared, Rod. They won't give it to us because they know we'd kill him on it.
It's just, I mean, and you can't even, I don't know that they juice it enough for you. This would be like an F1 Max Verstappen bet where you're betting
because that would have to be, that's like what, 10-1 at least, right? I mean, it's got to be, and they're not willing to take that kind of risk because look at the results. It's, it's
killing them.
Jeez. Anyways.
All right. So listen, before we even get into how the ebb and the flow of the race went, I was thinking about this the entire time I was watching this race, and especially after Larson kind of gacked out and then Elliott suffered the whole race through. I just want to know sometimes the process versus the results, right? And this is something you struggle with all over the place. Doesn't matter if it's betting, doesn't matter if it's whatever. And I thought, do I need to go through my process? Because there was a lot of bets where I really felt like they should have cashed. And then at some points they were, but is it me? Like, what am I doing that is making these results? Or is it me? Or is it the track? Or is it whatever? So it's funny because in Discord, I watched the whole thing sort of play out with everybody the same way, right? I mean, everybody, you're grasping for, is this something that just happened? Or is this something that I can control through research, through better betting practices, through paying more attention to something? Because, I mean, obviously Seth got Truex right. We've backed ourselves into a corner where we stopped trusting Martin Truex Jr., right? It did cost the outright, but
But how many times did we not bet on him?
Exactly.
When we would have bet on him, like, that's the thing is, yeah, sure, maybe we could have hit him this week if we took him, but if we gave him out 15 other times and he doesn't hit because we can't trust him, that's where I think that part of the process is good. I mean, you look at, like, we had Kyle Busch 18-1. He starts on the pole. He's leading early. He's got a very, very fast car. Then he gets caught speeding under caution at the competition caught. Like, you cannot make a mistake like that. Then, because that sends him to the back, he gets involved in that wreck. He ends up in the back of Dylan, I think it was. And then, it's going to be too. I mean, he worked his way back through the field at points. They tried a couple things. Again, if cautions had fallen differently, maybe it would have worked out for it. But, like, that 18-1 early was like, okay, if he can stay in fresh air all day, he's going to have a chance at this. One mistake, and he fucks the whole thing up, and it's just like, rip that ticket up and throw it out. So I don't know. I mean, our process on at least some of these head-to-heads were pretty good. I mean, you can't blame yourself for taking Harvick, the most reliable guy in the field, and he has a bad. Harvick finished 19th, like, just a horrible day by Harvick. That's not normal. The Larson part of things, I mean, I guess we don't really have any bets on him other than the top Chevy bet, but he could have maybe even been the best car. He could have won this race, but he gets taken out early because Chastain's an idiot. Like, how many times is Chastain going to say he's sorry? Like, at what point is Ross Chastain the boy who cried wolf? Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then he does it again. And then he says he's sorry. And then you turn around and he's doing it again. And then he says he's sorry. And you turn around and he's doing it again. It's like, are you fucking sorry or are you not? Like, I don't think you're sorry. You keep doing it. What are you doing, dude? Like, everybody in the field hates you. And then you could see it. I mean, later, like, Larson, perfect revenge. That was the best because didn't have to wreck him. And Chastain could have ended up winning that later on. But had it stayed green, I mean, and he really almost caught Truex again. But the fact that he was there, slowed him way up, then Gibbs gets in the way, Reddick gets in the way. Like, nobody likes this guy. You got to figure it out, dude. And that was so early in the race, too. That's what Larson said post-race. I saw his interview with Bob Pockris, and it was like, I get that in stage 3, fine, whatever. Like, the 15 has got out of the way, great. But that early in the race, why are you just wrecking car? And Chastain has been Brennan Poole in the past. Like, he was Brennan Poole for so many years in these shit cars. This is Poole's first time in a Cup Series in the next gen car. Like, he gets 80 laps and then he gets fucked up because Chastain just doesn't know how to drive. I don't understand.
Cody getting fired up. Justin says, hey,
I am fired up, Justin. I don't get it. Like, dude, stop wrecking everyone.
To Chastain's defense, look.
Or stop saying you're sorry for it.
Well,
everybody's like, you never see Dale Earnhardt race. Like, yeah, I did, but Dale Earnhardt didn't say he was sorry for wrecking you. He wanted to wreck you. Like, fine. And if you're going to be the villain, play into the villain, but stop saying you're sorry if you're not sorry.
The first stage took like an hour and a half. So I think Chastain probably thought that the race was a lot farther along than it was. I'm pretty sure he lost out where he was like, wait,
he thought there was like 3 laps to go.
Yeah. He was like, oh my God, this has been like an hour and a half. What are you doing? That was a very, very long first stage for it to be starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. And for me to almost be ready to eat lunch by the time it was done. I was like, this is
well, and what's crazy too is generally the Monday races are super, super clean. Like, there's almost no cautions. It's almost like, everybody was so fired up for Sunday. You got to wait till Monday. Like, let's just get through this race. Let's get home. And not the case today, which is another thing that, again, man, how do you handicap just the chaos of everything that happens in a race like this? Like, it makes it tough.
But that's what I'm trying to say. And I also said that in Discord too, is like, if anybody's touting today, I want to see the receipts because and the only person that I know right now that can tout is Seth because he hit the outright. I didn't see anybody else on Truex this weekend, or I didn't hear anybody else on Truex. But if you were, I want to see the receipts because Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson could have found his way up. And Kevin Harvick was 5th at one point.
Oh, Denny Hamlin could have won this race if his pick, like what?
Mm-hmm.
Give him like the Rick Ware pit crew or something. They can't be any worse. Like, what is going on with the 11 pit crew? Like, they just constantly cost Denny over and over. That's another thing. Like, we gave that out as the show pick, right? Because of the Denny Brett, which, by the way, these brackets, your bracket is likely busted. One of my championship round guys is out already. Kyle Larson goes down early. I did call the Gilliland upset over Joey Logano, but yeah, just insane for this bracket is already so much fun. We'll have to get to that at some point, but man, yeah, it just, how do you, and that's been the thing with Blaney too. It's the same thing. These pit crews just costing some of these guys. Like Denny, I think could have been Martin Truex if his pit crew didn't keep putting him behind the 8 ball. And they did it every single time he was on pit road, it seemed like.
Yeah, we'll get into the bets here in a second. Let's step away. I think this is a great time to step away, to come back and talk through these bets, because once we get on
take some deep breaths.
I was going to say, once we get on this roll, I almost don't want to stop it. So this is why I want to stop it now. This is a natural pause so we can come back and talk through the rest of these bets. Because now is the perfect time to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes, plus plenty of ways to win with NBA, NHL, and MLB. Their player prop parlays. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. Other things that race are horses, and it's Kentucky Derby week, and the notorious OTB, brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is up here for all of your Triple Crown bets. Plus, leave a review for the show whenever you get your podcast between now and the Belmont Stakes on June 10th. You'll be entered into a drawing to win a canvas print of the Wolves' one-of-a-kind Fallen Bob painting. It's post time, baby. Gotta love it. We have some of the most fantastic contests in the SGP, in the whole sports gambling world, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. The Old Fashioned Football, Justin was commenting a few minutes ago. They've got great contests going on over there. Can win all kinds of fun stuff. Sounds like they got some more coming up. We've obviously got our Hamlinmania thing. I think 100, and I don't have it right in front of me. I think it's like 134 entries into that. So, dang, yeah, you guys showed up and got your entries in. The results were just, inspection just finished, and Truex is officially the winner, so that's good. But we'll make sure there's no changes. I did update the winners on the site, but we'll see. And then I got to score everything and figure out that whole fun stuff. But we'll get a leaderboard out on Twitter here within the next day or two. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, that's it's gonna be fun to keep watching this, because already we've had some pretty crazy ones. And there was what did I see? Somebody finished 30. Chase Briscoe, who BJ McLeod beat, still won his matchup by finishing in 30th. Like, that's how crazy this week was.
Doing the Lord's work, buddy.
Yeah.
Doing the Lord's work. All right. Well, let's talk through some of these bets, because I feel like it's time to talk through what just happened. We'll start with the Cup race. Yeah, Cody, just get us started.
Yeah. So Chase Elliott over William Byron. I want to apologize to William Byron, because, dude, you showed up. I thought that maybe we were starting to see what happened last year. You're going to fall off. Then there were points in this race where I was like, whoa, he's going to be the first guy to 3 wins this season. Like, so William Byron, not a guy that can be faded. That was my bad. I know he's had some good finishes here lately, but looking at how things fell off for him last season, looking at how the last couple of races it started a trend, it just seemed like the same thing was going to happen. I leaned into that. Didn't quite work out for me. So, William Byron ends up beating Chase Elliott. I did miss out on that head-to-head.
193 laps William Byron led. He was
up front.
Freaking rocket ship when he was out front. But unfortunately, it started the long run. When they finally had a long run, that's what killed him.
That was what killed him, because it was short runs up until that point, and he just was dominating and didn't. His restarts, they just showed, Keselowski, they had his audio, and he's like, what is this guy doing on restarts? Because his restarts were so good, he was jumping out. But once they got to the long run, his car was not set up for that, and he was falling off very quickly.
It's like Keselowski was popping the clutch in second. You know, when you are barely slowing down, you have it in second, right? You can't put it in first because you can't. So you have it in second, and you're like, right. That's what Keselowski was doing, where William was getting that full on first gear. Let's go, baby. Let's get that extra gear.
Yeah, he was executing good. Had the best short run car for sure, but didn't have the track position at the end to capitalize with this just 7-lap shootout at the end there.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, listen, you try to talk me out of this one.
This was actually a good bet.
And that's what I'm saying. This is why. Yep. This is the one I think the most that had me struggling with. Is it process or is it results? Because I had Eric Jones as a top 10 car. He started in 11th place, but he fell back like a freaking brick. Now, granted,
that was like 5 laps into the race. So like Eric Jones has lost 9 spots. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
He finished 16th by the end of this, but that was more attrition than anything, because he was one that had fallen a lap down and managed to fight his way back around. But again, man, I don't know what it is now. These legacy cars, they're kind of dead to me at this point. And they should have been a long time ago. You're right. But I thought we'd see a little more out of Eric Jones than we did.
But still, I mean, finishing 16th, like enough could have happened at the end there that I still have at plus 450. The odds you got it at, I don't think it was a bad bet, because he did it here last year. He's shown he can do it in the past. We know the car's not great, but he wasn't that far away, even with all those things, factoring in. So I don't think it was a bad one. I think your process is right there. It just, I mean, it is a longer shot for a reason, right? And there was potential for it to happen, but it really wasn't going to happen, I guess.
Jones did not benefit from a Chastain assist in that instance. So
I thought we might get that in overtime. I thought Chastain might just dive bomb into turn 1 and take out like 5 cars. Then Jones would have been 11th. See, you'd have been real close.
And then apologize for it afterwards. Because
he'd have been sorry until he did it again next week.
Go to the Discord. If sg.pn/Discord, please do. There is a cycle of Chastain that is up there.
What was the team name? I think the JDK.
Oh, no. JDK said Team Wreckhouse.
Team Wreckhouse. Yes, that was great. Shout out to him. He's always very active. That was a good one. I don't know if he came up with it or if he got it from somewhere, but either way,
I don't care. It was awesome.
Great thing. Yes, Team Wreckhouse. This is my streak of good head-to-heads here. I had Brad Keselowski over Chase Briscoe, minus 120. This one was not even close all day long. Brad was having a great day, ends up with an 8th place finish. Nice solid run for him, exactly what we expected. Chase Briscoe right there behind BJ McLeod, back in 30th. Exactly what I expected, honestly. Chase Briscoe started 6th in this race. 6th place, Rod, and from the metric. And then you never, ever, ever heard or saw him. I don't even remember seeing him on the broadcast. Like, he was nowhere to be found all day long. Exactly what we expected. We're going to Kansas next week. Fade Chase Briscoe again. They do not have the intermediate speed. I was going to say outside of Kevin Harvick, but after what we saw today, does Stuart Haas have any intermediate speed? I have no idea, because so if we continue to get these matchups over, and I'll just go into it too, because I had Chris Buescher over Chase Briscoe as well was my next one. And same thing. He finished 9th right next to Brad Keselowski. And again, Briscoe just nowhere close. So full on fade Briscoe. I hope they give it to us again. Give us BJ McLeod versus Briscoe, because I'll take it. Like, Briscoe just has not been good unless it's a short, flat track. So next time we go back to one of those, expect him to pop up and have a good run. But these intermediate, Stuart Haas is highly, highly lacking the speed.
Well, and listen, that's the thing about it too. Rory picks, baby. Yo, homies, what's up? Hey, listen, if you guys aren't joining us live for our YouTube,
boy, that Daniel Suarez top 10 went to shit real quick, didn't it?
Oh, I was about to say Daniel Suarez, part of Team Wreckhouse. That was not the business over there either. But no, so just to get back to the whole, we knew RFK was about to pick up and do better, and in fact, we kind of said it all along. Just keep your eyes on the RFK guys, because they're finishing together. That's the kind of crazy thing about it. When they finished up in the top 10 or top 15, they've been finishing close, very close to each other. So something about these RFK cars, they've got them dialed in. So I definitely don't hate it for that. And yes, full fade of Briscoe. You want to talk about Briscoe though? Briscoe, he fell like a rock. I mean, we said Eric Jones fell like a rock. Briscoe, like somebody
anchor tied to
him. Yeah.
BJ McLeod threw his fishing pole out there and reeled him right in. That's what happened. Looks like Rory hit Truex live, so congrats to you on that. I was, again, too scared to pull the trigger on something like that. And he had Scotty Mack in the IndyCar race too. We had some good. I shared my IndyCar picks on Twitter, shared them in the Discord. Didn't hit an outright there, but hit a. I think I had a top 3, a top 5, and a head-to-head that were all in there. Hit all 3 of those, so a decent day over there on IndyCar stuff too.
Telling you, we need to pop that IndyCar into something on here. We need to get an IndyCar gambling podcast.
Well, if they've been doing a good job of keeping the odds in there, so we might have to work that into the feed or into the F1 feed maybe.
Hey, sorry if we digress. We just don't want to get to the rest of these bets.
We're tired of talking about this. All right, well, next up, Rob.
All right,
speaking of Chastain,
I had HMS as the top Chevy. I said pick and choose any of it that you wanted as far as however it was. I really truly believe that Larson could have been one of the fastest, if not that. And then, for Byron there, all he had to do was kind of get around Chastain for the most part at the end of that race, and he would have been the top Chevy. So, and there wasn't a possibility for him to do that because obviously he was too far away. He lost contact after the restart. But I mean, something happens. Chastain slips a gear. People decide they don't like Chastain. Kyle Larson got in front of him long enough to hold him up, right? It was like, who knows what would have happened. So I really feel like Byron still had a good shot. Obviously, he was the fastest Chevy, and Larson had a rocket.
Larson had a rocket, Roy says. He did. Man, again. Yeah.
So, this one should have hit. And then, of course, I had Harvick over Truex. Well, it's hard to finish better than first place, but I don't know if Harvick would have won this race. I don't think he would have, but I think he could have been a solid top 5 car if he would not have had that issue, right? Cording wheels all damn day, goes a lap down. That's it. That's the end of your day at this track. I know unless you stay out like Kyle Busch tried to, and then drop like a rock as well and get lapped and then lose the lucky dog because you stayed out. It's frustrating, but either one of those 2 bets I felt like had an opportunity to win. Obviously Truex wins. That makes it a little difficult for the head-to-head for Harvick, but yeah, I mean, I guess I can't blame the process on that one, can I?
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad process again. I mean, it's Kevin Harvick, like 19th place, not where you're expecting to see him at. So just a bad weekend for Harvick, bad weekend for SHR overall. Speaking of that, I had Ty Gibbs over Ryan Preece, -110. Gibbs, another solid day from him. They need to figure out the fuel thing because he ran out of fuel last week, and they said he was going to be 7 laps short this week when he had plenty of time to get the fuel in. So I don't know what the deal is with the fuel thing. Let's figure that out. But running top 5, a good portion of the race for a while there. Looked very good. Ends up finishing in 13th, but that's good enough to beat Preece, who ends up actually being the top SHR car all the way back in 17th. So again, he was a little better than I expected. I didn't expect him to even be that good, but not a good showing, period, from the SHR cars. So fading them in all 3 head-to-heads worked out very good in my favor. And so at least we were able to cash those.
Indeed, we were. I guess I'll just get to my winning car number under 11.5. Did not happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the 19 car won. In my mathematical skills, which pale in comparison to anybody's, that is not a car that is under 11.5. So unfortunately, that did not happen. But I mean, again, right? Hamlin had a fast car. Larson had a fast car.
Chastain could have done it.
Chastain could have ended
Kyle
up
Busch if he hadn't sped. I mean, there was guys that had opportunities with that. I had Stenhouse as the winner of Group C at +290 over on Caesars. This one was close. He beat Eric Jones, beat AJ Allmendinger, beat Eric Almirola, beat Justin Haley, but he did not beat Bubba Wallace. So that was the one that got us. Stenhouse ends up in 15th, 1 spot ahead of Eric Jones, but Bubba Wallace ends up in 12th, so he ends up taking that group. Unfortunately, I think he was the favorite in that one. Stenhouse, we got, it's kind of the top 10 question all week. Like, you take him top 10, you take him to win the group. 15th place, so he kind of hung around all day. By the way, Corey LaJoie, 14th. Shout out to him. 14th on an intermediate track. Corey LaJoie finished better than all the SHR cars. Maybe he doesn't even want to go to the 4 car because it's worse. I don't know. Who knows? But,
I will say that group was close, though. That group was really close because Bubba finished in 12th, Stenhouse in 15th, Jones in 16th, Allmendinger in 18th. I mean, you want to talk about everybody grouped around there. The only one,
and Haley and Almirola 23rd and 24th, like they weren't that much farther back either. So it was kind of how you expected all to be grouped up there together.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of why these odd makers are doing it again, man. These head-to-heads, these groups, they all just sort of run around in the same pack. All right. Well, then the winners. We had Denny as the show pick, right? That was
Right.
Still think he could have done it. I had Harvick, but that was only because I had to pick somebody else because we already had picked Denny Hamlin. So, but at 11-1, Harvick was a top 5 car. I don't know if he would have won, but he would have made it damn close, I think, at some points.
I don't think you can ever be mad to bet on Harvick. Like we've seen what he's done. We've seen what he's capable of. Today just wasn't his day, so that's how it goes sometimes. I had Chase Elliott. I was very high on Chase Elliott. Did not show up. Really at all. He just kind of mired 10th place all day, 10th to 15th. Ends up 11th, I think. Barry beat him at the end. Like, I don't know. I don't really have any answers. I don't know what happened there. Kyle Busch, 18-1. For a little while, this looked good till the speeding penalty. Then he gets involved in the wreck, and then they just were throwing darts and completely missing. Also, gave out Bubba at 40-1, just kind of a long shot. He ends up with the 13th place or 12th place finish, rather. So, not a bad finish. We saw some very fast Toyotas. You had 4 in the top 7 of the 6 that were even out there. So, pretty decent day for Toyota. Just kind of throwing a dart, kind of hoping something would stick. And I'm not mad about getting a 40-1 that ends up finishing in 12th. Started 28th too. So yeah. Again, all right. It's just been. It's been tough. It's been tough.
It's been tough. It's really been tough because
hope we get good numbers on 2311 cars this weekend because I really want to go. I really want to take Bubba. I really want to take Reddick, but they swept the Kansas races last year. So we'll see. We'll see where they put them.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing about it too. We always say there's value, and we look for value, and sometimes there's not value in the favorites, and this proves it because Larson was a favorite to win at like plus 450, plus 500 in some spots to win this race, and if you'd have bet and he'd have won, you'd have been happy. But we also told you that that's probably not good enough value to take on an outright on Larson on a track where Chastain can get in the 15 and 15. And you could make that excuse for anything. You honestly could talk yourself out of making just about any bet out there, just as much as you could talk yourself into making just about any bet in there. But, again, with these cup races, I'm not mad at the way the race turned out. I'm really not. It was actually a very entertaining race by and large. There were spots in there where it was a little bit like, when you had 10 cars on the lead lap, you kind of think to yourself, here we go. This is kind of what they were trying to prevent back in the day. But then strategy fell into that. You had pit penalties. You had mistakes on pit road that forced people's hands. And so, there's a lot. This race had a lot to track down. But from a gambling aspect, it just, you want to throw a brick into your TV.
It's been so inconsistent, too, as far as like, you don't take Larson this week. If you don't take Elliott, then Elliott maybe is the one who shows up. Like, we decided to fade Byron, but maybe it should have been Larson that we faded. Like, how do you pick which HMS car is going to have the issue? You go back and look, like, Truex has won here before. Yeah, the Monday angle, we could have tossed that out knowing that maybe it was going to be a Monday race. But, when we give our picks on Tuesdays, we don't know for sure. You never know with the forecast, right? They could say it's raining outside. You walk out and it's like 100 degrees and there's not a cloud in the sky. And it's like, are you sure it's raining? Like, oh yeah, our model says it's raining. Like, well, your model's wrong. Like, and yeah, it's tough. And then Chastain, he was a guy that was in the mix today, but we've talked about it. He's been so inconsistent. Yeah, he had those 2 wins. We hit him 40-1 at Coda last year. Then he wins Talladega. He hasn't won since. He's starting to be one of those guys that's getting up there on the hasn't won in a while list. Like, and it's almost like, was he kind of? He made the Final Four, but was he more of a flash than he was? But then he shows up today and has a fast car. He's just inconsistent. Truex, something always goes wrong. Blaney comes out of fucking nowhere. Apparently, they talk about on the broadcast. This is the race they focus on more than anything else. Why? Because we come to Dover once. I don't know. But obviously it worked because he looked good. But we were right on the Joey Logano side. We said Joey was going to suck here. He always sucks here. Sucks, struggles all day, just problem after problem. Finally, it just gives up, hits the wall, and he's done. And Gilliland bounces him out of the Hamlinmania bracket, and it's like, so I it's getting to the point where it's getting frustrating because it seems like we're on track with some of the stuff we pick, and it just sometimes it doesn't fall. How do you know which? We knew Hendrick was going to be fast today. How do you know which Hendrick car it's going to be? That's the tough part. How do you know which Gibbs car it's going to be? Hamlin, it probably should have been him, but his crew kept fucking him, and it ends up being Truex instead. All 4 Gibbs cars were fast. I don't know, but I do know we're going to keep trying. I'm going to Kansas this week. Maybe seeing it in person will help. I will bring my cardboard just in case. If we need that late caution, I've heard that the cardboard on the track can cause that to happen. Just kidding. I'm not taking any cardboard.
Yeah, he says as he takes a big cardboard with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast logo emblazoned on it and tosses it out into the
might as well get TV time if I'm going to throw it out there, right?
Listen, free, no press is bad press, right? So
that's right.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, all in all, it's just, yeah. But hey, shout out one before we hit the break. Shout out to Josh Berry for a 10th place.
Again, man, I mean, and that's just going to be a guy we're going to have to look at him. He's in this car 2 to 3 more weeks, probably. Like, if we can get him at top 10 at plus money every week, like, I think you just do it because he is just hammering out good runs every week. Like, he ends up being the second best finishing Hendrick car on the day. I mean, flat out beat him and Elliott were going back and forth at the end, and he beats him out. Like, Byron ends up finishing 4th, obviously. We don't know about the Larson type of thing, but crazy. He's very solid. And came out over the weekend, too. There's a rumor he's got a full-time ride next season. They're going to announce full details at the Coke 600. Clint Boyer said something on the broadcast today. I got to go back and see exactly what it was, but something about, they were talking about him being a banker, right? He was a teller at a bank when he met Dale Jr. on iRacing. And Boyer goes, I think he's going to be a customer at a bank pretty soon. Rory says SHR 4 car. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think Josh Berry's in the 4 car next year. I think that's what's coming out. We'll see. I mean, there's obviously people are saying, well, what about Junior coming to Cup? I don't think Junior's coming to Cup yet. And I don't think Junior comes to Cup with Berry either. I think that Junior has very high hopes for Berry and doesn't want to hold him back if they're not good right away if he comes to Cup. So I think you're on it, Rory. I think based on everything that happened this weekend, based on Boyer's kind of comments like that, I think everybody knows that that's kind of what it's looking like.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings any. I do love me some.
And it's very deserving. I mean, he's earned it. Like, look what he's doing every week, getting in these cars, just filling in, and what he's done in the Xfinity Series in his relatively short NASCAR career. He's been a race car driver for a while, but he's like 32, I think. But he, in his relatively short racing career, he's done very good. Had some good runs even in the 77 a couple seasons ago when he was kind of popping in and running some random rides in that. So, yeah.
Well, now that just means I need to go and live my life on iRacing so Dale Jr. can find me.
I raced against Jeremy Mayfield once on iRacing, so
nice.
I don't think that's going to help me. I did beat him. He got caught up in a wreck, but I still beat him. Doesn't matter. I won the head-to-head.
Sorry, was it Chastain in there?
No. Well, maybe he was. Maybe that's what happened to Jeremy. I don't know.
All right. Well, speaking of Xfinity, they happened to race 2, and they did it on Saturday. We will break everything down for you. But also, let's say thank you to you out there who are watching live right now on YouTube, and those of you who are catching it on our Twitter feed as well. So excited that we get to bring you video, get to bring it to you live. This is the new wrinkle that we threw in this year, and so far, so good. You guys have been chatting with us just now in the chat. You guys have been doing all the stuff to keep us active on YouTube. So please do it some more. We love it. Comment, like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a review if you're a podcast listener of the OG style. We certainly have not forgotten about you. As always, I say this is an audio podcast first. The video folks just get to, enjoy the extras, the bonus features, if you will. So continue to make that happen. The bosses absolutely love it when you do, and we'll continue to make this content for you.
Hey, everybody. If you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan.
Yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning. Give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
the injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
Market movers. After all, we are the Marks.
He is my hubby.
And she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Not going to lie, Cody, I wish that at 9:00 in the morning, I would have poured myself a good old fashioned and sat down with some whiskey to watch the race, because I just felt like that's what I would have needed to get through it. But Unfortunately,
that probably would have been a solid idea.
a nice little drink by breakfast. All right, but Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, rather, we did get treated to the Xfinity race. Same name, different brother, crossing the finish line to start the weekend off. It was Ryan Truex. My question, I guess, Cody, is are we impressed by the guy now? Has he entered our radar?
I think that we've been impressed. I mean, we've bet on him a few times. I was a week early. I had him last week at Talladega, and it didn't quite pan out. I was right again on the Gibbs car winning. I just picked the wrong Gibbs cars. But I've been very impressed. He's taken full advantage. I mean, you look at a guy like Joe Graff gets in that 19 car and ends up 6 laps down and nowhere to be found. And then a guy like Ryan Truex gets in the same exact car, same crew, same everything, and he comes out and wins a race like this. So, I mean, obviously that shows he's got some talent. He's a guy that's been scraping around, almost won a race, his first race, Xfinity race here like 10 years ago. Joey Logano got it from him late. But for him to get it and then his brother to win the next day, 2 days later, I guess technically, they pull the brother sweep of the weekend. Good story, feel good story. I think everybody, it seemed like all the other drivers were happy for him. Everybody seems to really like the guy. He's grinding. He's not just getting in that car because his last name is Truex. Like, he still has to do the things to get in there. I know he does work for Joe Gibbs as he's their main simulator driver, like trying setups and working out different things for them for the Cup Series side of things. So he's kind of keeping his irons hot and trying to find that next break and that next ride. Always good to see that type of guy get a win. So very happy with it. Sad we weren't on him necessarily to win this week. I did have him in a head-to-head, so we hit that. But I'm happy to see the guy win. And I think that he'd already been showing us, right? He had a second place, a couple of other really good runs. We knew he had it in him. This was his week.
It's a shame he's not full-time. It really is. I wish that we could see a full season of Ryan Truex because, Dale Jr. found him in the sim room. Oh, wait, no, that was some, never mind. No, and again, like I said, it'll be a fun story. Everybody loves to cheer for the old dude that, that's been trying for a long time, and finally they get their break.
Well, that's like the Pittsburgh Pirate. Plays 13 years in the minor leagues, finally gets his call up this week to come play for the big club. They're even having a good season for the first time since like the 80s. And it's like, it's a good story. Everybody loves to see that, the feel-good story. It's good to see. It's guys like Parker Kligerman. That's why people love him so much. Like, he's been grinding and keeping his nose. And he went to being a TV reporter just so he could stay close to it. Now he's in a full-time ride. Didn't work out so good this week, but he's been getting some good results here and there. Like, so yeah, it is the good feel good story. Everybody loves to see it.
Well, it's like the 47-year-old podcaster who's been doing it since 2006, just kind of plugging away, trying to get his, and then all of a sudden he winds up on the premiere.
Now he's on the best show in the planet
with the best co-host in the planet.
Now you might be embellishing a little, but
people love the feel good stories. Anyways, no. So here's the thing. With this race, I much like the Cup race, and obviously it happened before. So I was happy enough with the race, how it turned out, and just the racing in general. Obviously we saw a lot more dominance in this race than we did in the Cup race, but all in all, I felt like the racing was still good. I felt like there was still enough action going on. There was enough. There was enough cautions going on, but I felt like there was enough going on in this race to keep me entertained as somebody who watches NASCAR. But again, the gambling aspect of it was a little bit frustrating at points.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on you a little bit more for this one. I didn't get to see the race, and I've only seen bits and pieces. I haven't had a chance to actually. I recorded it, so I could go back and sit down and watch it, but it was a busy weekend. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I kind of assumed it was going to get rained out, and so we made plans, and then it was like, oh, the race is actually going to happen, and oh well, but here we are. So
that's right. We'll just go over the bets then. That'll be good for it, and we'll talk it all through like we normally do.
Exactly. Okay, so I had John Hunter Nemechek over Cole Custer. This one was juiced up at -140. It was a little closer than maybe I had hoped. John Hunter finishes 5th. Cole Custer finishes 7th. But my point remains, the Gibbs cars are elite. Custer sucks. And that's it, really.
Hey, listen.
I don't even know what happened to Custer in this race. I know he started 2nd place. But again.
Cole ended up leading 13 laps in this, and he actually looked relatively fast. He just
heard that story before. He's looked fast multiple times, and he never gets the finishes. Again, this is like Custer at this point is Truex to me. Like, if he wins, good. Like finally, I've been expecting it since the off season, but until I see it, like I'm not going to be sad not betting on this guy.
Well, yeah, and there was a lot to do with, comp cautions and all that stuff for Cole Custer. So he did start off quick. He did start off looking like he was actually going to be in contention for the win, honestly, but that did not happen. Good for him, though, to at least manage a 7th place finish, because for a second there, it didn't necessarily look like it was going to happen at all. He led from lap 1 to 9. Sheldon Creed got into the mix and led for a little while. And then Cole Custer ended up leading again at the end. So it was just a tough back and forth day for him. But yes, John Hunter Nemechek, one of the faster cars on the day too. I mean, it was not a matter of him being up front and leading any laps in this one, but he definitely came back and charged up ahead from a 22nd place start to a 5th place finish. So that was a lot of speed for him.
Him being how did he get to second in stage 1? Did he not pit on the competition caution, or did he race his way through?
He raced his way through for the most part, and then ended up there was a pit strategy call for him, I think, on that caution as well. So yeah. All right. I had Sheldon Creed as a top 5 car. This is looking good for a long time. Sheldon Creed was in the mix and in the conversation for the winning car at some points, but
isn't that every week?
Yeah, I know. Sheldon Creed finishes 11th, led 41 laps in this. Just tough, man. Sheldon Creed just not able to keep himself out of trouble. He got himself in trouble there on lap 102. Just so close to the end, he could have done it, but he stepped out, got collected with the 18, and then that was it. I mean, couldn't really necessarily find his way back up to the front of the pack. He got an 11th place finish, which was impressive, but again, could have been a much better day for Sheldon Creed.
That's the story with him every week. It seems like Creed is starting to get very frustrating. Like it's Ryan Blaney-esque. It's Martin Truex Jr.-esque. Like has good fast cars, and then just something always goes wrong. I don't know, but again, with the speed you're getting out of it at plus 225, like to only finish it, you didn't even need him to win. He just needed him to finish in the top 5. I think that it wasn't necessarily a bad bet. This next one for me, this goes to show you how shitty these Sam Hunt cars are, honestly. Like, so I had Riley Herbst over Corey Heim, minus 145. Herbst had like 47 things go wrong with him. I do know that about the race. Still finishes better. Heim ends up with engine troubles that take him out, but that was exactly the thinking here is these cars are just not that good. And engine trouble is part of these cars not being that good. And so Heim goes out early, and Herbst ends up beating them. So again, juiced up a little bit. Scary moments for Herbst, obviously. When he has issues, you're like, oh boy, but he ends up winning this head-to-head pretty easily.
Boy, Riley Herbst was just a pinball, man. That poor guy was getting hit every which way but loose, and yeah, he couldn't catch a break at all. And our top 5 odds for him, just people had him at top 5, and you had him at top 5 even. It was so tough to watch that happen time in and time and out. But all right, Cody, will you listen to me when I tell you that Junior Motorsports will do well on Dover? I'm just going to go ahead and lay that out there right now. I had Josh Berry as a top 3 car. There was times, I'm not going to lie, I was afraid. I was petrified.
How many times did Josh Berry spin in this race?
More times than I think he. It was ridiculous.
2 spins every week. It's crazy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought that the JRM cars were just gonna not live without Josh Berry, but no. So he spun, right? But he started 19th, ended up finishing 2nd. Josh Berry was never going to win this race, but by the same token, the fact that he charges his way up through so many smart, heady calls, good pit stops, good everything. Like Josh Berry needs to be applauded for the way he ran this race. He stayed out of trouble. He could very easily could have gotten in a lot of trouble. We saw just all up and down the track, but kept himself clean. And actually, this was a close one too, because Allgaier and Berry, I had them head to head, and I had Berry over Allgaier as my next bet. I'll parlay that one in there. And this almost didn't happen because Allgaier was ahead of Berry for a little while, and then by the end of it, Berry finally passed Allgaier again. They end up finishing 2-3. Berry finishes over Allgaier. Man, let me tell you, I was sweating this one big time. The Josh Berry top 3 one, I was kind of sweating, but once the race started to come to a close, I knew I was going to cash that one, but this Barry Allgaier one was way closer than it needed to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of them in the top 3, all 4 of them rather in the top 9. So pretty good day for JRM. They stayed out of each other's way. They get a week off this week. Hopefully not lose that and keep it at Darlington. Darlington, a place where Justin Allgaier is so good. It's going to be hard not to bet on a guy like that. I think my JRM stance is loosening up a little. Never been a super hard and fast stance. It's just been how I've been going lately. But seeing some decent results from them, I think that's going to maybe loosen that stance up a little bit more. But it did pay off for me this week because I had Ryan Truex over Brandon Jones. Obviously, Truex out front most of the day, wins the race. So that one cashes. Also had Sammy Smith, a top 5 at plus 115. Heartbreakingly, he finishes in 6th place. Expected these JGR cars to be fast. They were. All 3 of them finished in the top 6. Pretty good day from them. Just missed out on the Sammy Smith top 5. And yeah, shout out to Rory. He had the same as Rod. He had Barry over Allgaier. Plus 125 he found over on Betfred. So again, shop around if you can. And he hit the top 3 on it too. So great minds think alike, I guess.
Well, hey man, we know at some point Josh Berry's going to have himself a good day, and I think we just knew that today was Saturday was going to be that day. All right, this one was heartbreaking because first of all, the number 11 looked like it was going to be that kind of car all day. But Parker Kligerman just did not get an opportunity to show what he had. Got wrecked out ridiculously early. Started on the pole, fell back a little bit, but got caught up in the nonsense. Ended up finishing dead last, where the number 11 ended up finishing 21st. So I feel like if Kligerman would have been running at the end of the race, he would have finished well better than 21st.
He finished 10th, right?
Who? The number 11?
The number 11.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the 11th place. Right. Yeah. Starting the 11th. You're right. You're right.
Either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. I think that Parker, had he survived, would have finished better than the number 11. Again, we're not going to speak his name because we're still mad at him.
Oh, we will not. And then, of course, you had.
Yep. I had Riley Herbst top 5. Kind of already touched on him. It was plus 275. This is like the Harvick bet. I don't think this is ever a bad bet to make. Wasn't his week this week. Didn't work out. Had a very fast car, though. And it just seemed like things kept plaguing him, kept being in the wrong place, wrong time. So that probably cost the top 5, but that's how it goes.
Yep. I had Anthony Alfredo as the winner of Group D with Brett Moffitt, Jeb Burton in that as well. So frustrating for Alfredo. Alfredo actually had a bad start, but just lost it anyways. He was not long for this world, unfortunately. So I'm not even going to count that. But I will say that Brett Moffitt, hats off to him. Top 15 finish for Moffitt. Not a bad little thing to avoid the attrition and to finish up there. So maybe I rethink these backmarker bets in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the way Alfredo's been running, though, I don't think it's necessarily a bad bet. And it's not like any of these other two. There's only 2 other guys in the group. And it's not like they had great finishes. I mean, off at 15th is good, but Alfredo could have done that. Lost his brakes early, of course. So doesn't quite pan out. I had John Hunter Nemechek to win, plus 550. We already kind of talked about him. Sammy Smith, plus 750. Again, I picked both JGR cars that weren't the winner. Man, heartbreaking to do that, but happens. And then I had Herbst 22-1. Again, I don't. Yeah, we talked about him as well. And Kligerman 40-1. That ends up looking pretty decent, right? It rains out. The metric puts him on the pole. Your 40-1 starts on the pole no matter what. That makes you feel pretty good. But then obviously things went very horribly quickly.
Yep. Same for me. I had Cole Custer at 6.5-1. Looking okay for a little decent bit. Like I said, he had his bouts at the front, but unfortunately, no one could stop Ryan Truex at all on Saturday. It was just his day to dominate. So Truex is your winner for the Xfinity race, and so that's how things close. Rory, we got just a few minutes left before we've got to both bail. We both got some hard outs today. We just wanted to make sure we got this show in on Monday when everything was fresh off of everybody's memory, and we could all come in and lament some frustrating weeks. But taking a look at your Hamlinmania brackets,
yes.
Just hit me up with a couple of your
unofficial.
Biggest,
unofficial results, of course, were the rules state whatever the results are at midnight. Although it looks like this will likely be the case. Bell beats Gregson easily. Busher beats Cindric, no surprises. The number 48 beats Almirola. We both called that. Blaney over Jones. I think we actually both took Jones in that. Blaney again was surprising. Kevin Harvick beats Harrison Burton by 1 spot, Rod. It was that close to Kevin Harvick being bounced in the first round. Byron beats McDowell. No surprise there. Joey Logano versus Todd Gilliland. I called the upset here. The upset happens. Gilliland moves on with the even 25th place finish, rather. Not a great finish by him, but Joey ends up 31st. Tyler Reddick and AJ Allmendinger. Reddick moves on. Not a surprise. Elliott Chastain. I think this is going to be a big one that a lot of people I think had Elliott over Chastain. I did, I know. Chastain ends up winning this. Briscoe and Suarez, they finished 30th and 31st. Briscoe ends up pulling out over Suarez. Obviously gets wrecked a little bit early there. Denny and Corey. Really, this was closer than I thought it probably should have been, right? Denny ends up 5th, but Corey 14th. A good, solid showing by him. Denny moves on in his own bracket challenge. Austin Dillon with the biggest upset on the day. He upsets Kyle Larson. Rory says he had Larson to win it. I think that I know I picked I don't have mine in front of me, but I picked Larson to go out, I think, in the round of 8, maybe. So I think that's going to help me a little bit that I picked him to lose a little earlier. I know a lot of people had him going all the way. But we told you the chalk doesn't always win. Of course, he's one of the chalkiest guys, right? You just take him to run the gamut. One race of bad luck, that could end the day. It did. Austin Dillon, a 27th place finish, not a good day, but good enough to advance. Stenhouse versus Gibbs. This was a close one. They finished 13th and 15th. Ty Gibbs sneaks it out. He moves on. Brad Keselowski, another close one. He finishes 8th to Bubba's 12th. He'll move on. And Ryan Preece with the upset of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, again, just kind of a rough day after things went horribly early. Finishes 21st. And Preece is 17th, so Preece moves on. So we got on to the round of 16 next week at Kansas. We'll have to go through these 8, 8 matchups, 16 matchups. I don't know how many that would be. It would be 8, right?
Yeah. Well, we're down a race. We're down a race tomorrow, right? So we can, or not tomorrow. We're down a race this week, so we might as well.
Yeah, and we'll see. Well, yeah. So scheduling note, right? Obviously, with the race on Monday, could throw a big wrench into this. So maybe Tuesday we kind of set up the week, go through this bracket a little more in detail. Obviously, your brackets are already set. You're not making any picks, but we can still break down each matchup and kind of how we see them going at Kansas. Maybe the books are on top of it. They'll get odds out. They'll give us BJ McLeod versus Chase Briscoe, hopefully. And we can still get your regularly scheduled Cup picks show on Tuesday, but might have to push that to Wednesday based on things sliding back. Xfinity is off this week, so it will just be Truck Series. Make sure you're following at NASCAR Gambling on Twitter too. Not only will post the updates, obviously, from the leaderboard once I get that all scored, we'll be on there, but I'm going to be at Kansas Speedway this weekend for the ARCA and Truck Series race on Saturday, and then the Cup Series race on Sunday as well. So I'll be sharing some pictures, videos, all that fun stuff over there. Got the media pass, so I'll be down in the garage area, down on pit road. Going to be a fun time.
It's going to be a blast keeping up with you there. I'm going to enjoy watching that, and I hope you guys do too. All right. I think we've thoroughly covered this Dover weekend. Hopefully we just don't wreck out on the way out of this podcast and ruin some people's
watch
days.
Out for Chastain on the highway there.
Yes, please. Yeah, if you see a 1 car behind you, you probably want to move. Doesn't matter.
Just pull over and get out of the way.
Yeah, just let him go.
All
right.
He's sorry. He's even though he'll wreck you again next week, he's sorry about it.
I want a sound drop that says, "Gosh, I'm sorry." I'm sorry. Gosh. All right, Cody, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, follow me on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. Again, I'll be sharing stuff there as well from this weekend at Kansas. Got a new article out for NFL. Updated divisional odds and some best bets, some guys to get in, some bets to get in early, some stuff I like. I found some good value bets on those. Obviously, we kind of have some answers now that the rookies have been drafted. So make sure you check that out. Check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. Hit a 16-1. That's squeak that in on the last lap. That's going to be fun to talk about on the recap this week. But yeah, definitely check that out. Hopefully to have continued success over there. Max Verstappen, not invincible. He didn't win again this week. So other people can win. They have to be in a Red Bull car, but they can win. So check that out as well. And then, follow the show at NASCAR Gambling as well. And I'll have that updated leaderboard out there as soon as I get it all scored. Again, a lot of freaking people in the contest, so it'll take a minute, but we'll get her done.
It makes me think if Chastain was in a Red Bull, who would do that? Find me on Twitter.
I don't think the stewards would like his wrecking of other people.
Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, where of course my fun host Seth hit Martin Truex to win the race. So you might want to be checking that show out as well as we head into the next weekend of racing. But until later on this week, whenever we get some odds, whenever we finish things off, thank you very much for those of you who tuned in live on Twitter. We love you all. We continue to do this for you. So click that bell, let everybody know, or let you know when the next one is coming up. All right, we'll see you again. Let's go racing and let it ride.